filtering. I just want to wrap up on weights and measures and talk about the planning process for weights and measures inspections. Now, Humboldt County, you have, a significant chunk of devices registered, I'm sure, up in Eureka and some of the other more populated towns. But it's not a massive program like in Alameda or Riverside. So some of the planning tools we have for you may be a little bit of overkill, but I'll just run through them and then you can decide how you'd like to use them. So under our weights and measures menu, we've only looked so far at weights and measures inspections, but let's take a look at some of the other components here. So we'll start with the map viewer. One of the things people often want to know is, where is stuff? The map viewer is also very useful once you kind of laid out a plan for what you're going to do for the next week or two, because you can see where you're going to be, and then you can look at what else is around those areas. And you may find there's some routine inspections that are right nearby you of the same device type you're going to be carrying equipment for, that even though they're not due for another 5 or 6 months, you could knock them out while you're out there. The top part is this filter screen. You're going to see these filters on all of our planning tools. It's our common filter setup. So I'm going to save talking about the details of it until we start looking at the planner. But those are hideable, so I can hide those and get a much bigger map view. And, it's a test county, so I only have a few locations set up. But when I click on a location, it's going to give me a pop-up window that tells me what's due there. I have a counter scale inspection due. The due date's 7/21, so it's overdue, so it's colored red. Let's see, this food for less was due 10/21. It's overdue, and so forth. So I can click around and see, what these locations are and what kinds of inspections they have. If I find a location that has multiple inspections due, like the Safeway, you'll see a little left and right arrow button here where you can scroll through all the device types that have inspections due. Okay, so let's take a look at the planner. The planner is what counties historically have called the inspections due report. And the goal here, this is kind of a messy and busy looking screen, but the goal here is to show you within a planning Outlook window. So up here, you'll see the first thing, our Outlook is through 30 days. What's due in the next 30 days? And then down here, you'll see, okay, these are all the inspections that are due in the next 30 days or are already past due. So I've got 8 items in this list. Before I talk about the list more, let's talk about the filtering. So we can filter by device type. I could say, just show me all the counter scale inspections I have due, or show me counter scales and computing scales. Right? And all I'm doing here is I'm taking an item on the left list and moving over to the right list. So I could add price verification, and I can double click it to move it over here, or I can click the arrow. Or if I want to clear the whole list, I click the double arrow and it moves everything. So here's all the available types, and on the right are the ones you've selected to be included in your filters. And keep in mind, the way the filter works is it's an either or. So if I say counter scale and then I add computing scale, it's not showing places that have counter scales and computing scales. It's showing all your counter scales and it's showing all your computer scales. And then I can filter on the other things we talked about on that location information screen. So I can filter by location types, by districts, by zones, and then also filter by the city that's in the physical address. So if I just want to see what's in Lodi, all I got is the Safeway and the food for less. So the filters are super useful. I can look at only active businesses or inactive businesses or all businesses. But it gets tiring to reset these filters every time I come in. So if I only deal with PV District 1 and the Lodi District for devices, and I want those filters to be available to me with one easy click, I can use this root book saving mechanism here. So root books are designed to be a set of filters that I save for a specific purpose. So I'm just going to put in, this is me. This is my root book. And now that I've saved it, if I go away and I come back again, whoops, planner, I can just pick my saved root book and it will reconstitute my filters for me. So it's a nice way for you, if you're a Waights Measure inspector, to quickly narrow down to what's your list of stuff. Then the second feature of this page is not just to look at what's due, but actually to plan out what I'm planning to do. So I've got these 4 inspections due plus this complaint inspection. What am I actually planning to do in the next 30 days? And to indicate that I'm planning to do one of these, this Safeway retail motor fuel meter inspection, I'm going to click on it and it turns green. You'll see up here you have a note about green and yellow and orange. Green means that's on my itinerary. And I call it the itinerary because the planner tells you everything that's due. Your itinerary tells you what you're planning on actually taking care of. Once I click on that and it turns green, any other inspector that opens up the planner or refreshes their planner will see it in yellow. So they know, oh, well, John's taking care of that one, so I'm not going to plan on going out there. So it's a quick way of just indicating what you're planning on doing and letting other people know so they don't accidentally plan to do an inspection that you're already planning to do. That itinerary is saved across screens. So if I save that one in Tracy and then this one in Stockton, if I go back to my map view, I can switch between the everything view and my itinerary. And this now shows me, okay, well, these are the 3 specific things that I said I was planning on doing. Okay, so that's what the itinerary for is, just a very quick switch from what's everything to what's on my itinerary. This is kind of useful if you're going out to a remote part of the county and you say, okay, well, this is where I'm going to be driving around. I'm going to be here the rest of the week. What else could I do while I'm out there? You switch from itinerary to planner and it shows you, okay, within the next 30 days, here's all the other stuff that's due around there. So maybe I want to add some of these to my itinerary and get them taken care of. Okay, and then in the planner grid itself, it shows you as much information as we can pack onto a single screen. So the location and address, location type, phone number, inspection due, what kind of inspection it is, routine, place in service, or complaint, how many total devices there are, how many were inspected on the previous inspection, remarks from the previous inspector, etc. And I can spit this whole table out to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I don't have a tablet or a device that I take out in the field with me, and I want to bring this with me, I can have all that information in an Excel spreadsheet that I can, print or whatever I want to do with it. Okay, so as far as planning goes, that's our main tool for seeing what's upcoming and indicating what it is that you're planning on doing. The 2 other planning tools we have are the root book. So the planner is inspections due. The root book is everything. These are all the combinations of location and device type that are in the county. I only got 15 in my test county, but this is useful for a few different things. One, there's always questions. How many of these do we have? Well, if I want to know how many computing scale locations we have, I just set that filter and I say, well, we got 1. I can also export this. So if I say, give me all of our computing scale locations, and I need to send a letter out to them about changes in computing scale requirements, I can spit this out to an Excel file. And that Excel file contains physical addresses, mailing addresses, other interesting information like what's their current balance due, if they've been invoiced for things and haven't paid yet. And then I could use this to generate a mailing to send out to all these locations and communicate something to them. So that's the root book. And the root book also has my saved root book. So if I say, just show me everything that's stuff that I take care of, I've got 12 things that I take care of. And then the last part of the Weights and Measures toolbox is the inspection history. And this, as you would expect, just gives you the history of all the inspections that have been performed in the county. And then here you can filter on all the normal filters, but there's a couple of extra. There's a start date and end date. So if you want to see how many scale inspections have been done last quarter, you can set the dates, pick all the scale devices, and boom, you've got a count right here in the grid. And then there's also a filter for inspectors. So you can look at numbers of inspections done by individuals.